Welcome to today's deep dive. We are unpacking a truly fascinating corporate mystery today from Northbridge Strategy. And honestly, it's a story that feels almost too real. We're going to look at how a single, seemingly mundane spreadsheet exposed a massive, sprawling web of toxic office politics. If you've ever worked in an environment, and let's be real, a lot of us have, where people care way more about controlling the narrative than telling the truth, you know exactly how maddening and frustrating it can be. You feel like you're constantly second-guessing reality. But today, we're going to see how one employee used hard data to completely flip the script on management. We're essentially going to treat this spreadsheet like a high-stakes crime scene, examining the tiny digital footprints left behind by a very calculated cover-up. So grab your notepad, get comfortable, because the forensic approach we're about to break down is something you can absolutely apply to protect yourself in your own career. Okay, let's dive right into this. We're starting off with a really powerful thought right out of the gate. In a toxic office, the loudest betrayal is not always the one that destroys you. What this brilliantly illustrates is that the most dangerous betrayals in our careers, they rarely look like a dramatic movie scene with yelling and screaming, right? They arrive quietly. They hide inside a totally innocuous file name, or a hidden tab, a missing case number, or a receipt someone almost throws away. In this specific case at Northbridge Strategy, the team had just been going through this grueling period of intense suspicion regarding the reporting system. The office wasn't an honest place. It was just a careful place. Everyone was constantly watching their words, trying to guess which side of a conversation to take to survive. But our main subject in this story, a sharp analyst named Maya Chen, realized something absolutely crucial. She realized that when people are desperate to control a false narrative, they get sloppy. And suddenly, a tiny digital footprint becomes the loudest, most undeniable witness in the room.
Section 1. The reporting discrepancy. The crime scene.
Okay, so every good mystery starts with a crime scene, and in the corporate world, that crime scene is often found in the most boring, mind-numbing place imaginable, a weekly performance file. Just picture it. It's a mundane Tuesday morning at the office, coffee's brewing, emails are pinging. A highly polished, beautifully formatted weekly performance file gets sent out to the entire team. But the newest analyst, a guy named Leo, spots something. He notices that the numbers in this beautifully formatted document absolutely do not match the raw data exported directly from their CRM system. There's a glaring mismatch. Digging a little deeper, he finds a specific cell in the spreadsheet that is pulling data from a sheet that doesn't even exist in the visible workbook. It's a broken reference. Now, most people, honestly probably 99% of people, would just ignore it. They'd think, oh, it's just a glitch and move on with their day. But Maya doesn't ignore it, because Maya has learned the hard way that you simply cannot trust clean surfaces in this office. She knows that every perfectly formatted document might just be a locked drawer hiding the actual truth.
And this brings us to Maya's guiding principle, which has essentially become her unofficial survival slogan for the department. Whenever something looks off, Maya relies on three very simple, very direct questions. What changed? Who changed it? And who benefits? It's literally how a detective looks at a crime: means, motive, and opportunity. This is how you start a proper forensic investigation. So when Leo brings her this broken file, Maya doesn't panic. She doesn't run to HR crying foul. She calmly writes these three questions at the top of her notebook. She knows that in a workplace that rewards loud confidence over actual truth, you simply can't react emotionally. You'll lose every time. You have to map the logic of the lie. Think about it. If a number shifted in a static document, someone had to move it. And if someone moved it, they definitely had a reason. As we'll see, this incredibly structured, emotionless approach completely dismantles the management team's defense later on.
Section 2. The speed of blame. The deflection strategy.
Now we are about to witness the rapid, almost frantic deflection strategies that toxic management uses to bury a problem before it ever sees the light of day. Let's look at the tactics that hit the room by late morning, once Leo starts asking questions. The management team, Daniel, Claire, and Ethan, they spring into action like a well-oiled machine. First up is Daniel. He immediately goes on the offensive, claiming the discrepancy is just a quote-unquote formula error, and tries to pin the blame squarely on Leo, the junior die. He suggests Leo must have broken the file because he's new and inexperienced. Then Claire steps in with her perfectly polished corporate calm. She doesn't accuse directly, no, that's too messy. Instead, she frames the issue as concern for Leo's training, manipulating the room into judging him. And finally, Ethan, playing the peacemaker, asks for a quick explanation but heavily hints they should, quote, take it offline. Let's pause there, because we all know what taking it offline means, right? The crucial takeaway here is this: blame always moves faster than truth. Because speed protects power. If they can pin this on the junior guy quickly, the investigation stops dead in its tracks. But this is where Maya stops the entire room cold. Daniel is pushing hard, trying to argue that they just can't ignore Leo's supposed quote-unquote patterns of making mistakes, and Maya responds with an absolutely incredible observation. She looks right at them and says, patterns are useful when they are based on facts. Otherwise, they are just rumors wearing a tie. Wow, I mean, what a line, right? This brilliantly illustrates her complete refusal to accept these rapid-fire character assassinations without hard proof. She demands that if management is going to spend company time attaching blame to a person, they need to spend 5 more minutes attaching actual proof to the claim. And you can imagine the room just goes dead quiet. Nobody in management likes that sentence, because it forces them to stop talking, stop spinning, and actually look at the physical evidence.
Section 3. Tracing the digital evidence, the investigation.
And look at the evidence, they absolutely do. This is the part where we deliberately slow down, because actual undeniable evidence takes time to uncover and it has to survive intense scrutiny. Let's walk through the exact digital forensic trail that Maya and Leo followed. It's like a masterclass in data recovery. Step 1, they spotted the broken formula reference. We already know that, but step 2 is where it gets juicy. Maya dug deep into the workbook's underlying settings and found a hidden tab. It was literally named Draft Backup. Not deleted, just hidden from view. Step 3, by restoring that hidden tab, they revealed the original, unaltered data. Now, the evidence wasn't super dramatic at first glance. It wasn't a smoking gun email. It was just a series of timestamps and field values. But what it proved was explosive. The raw data showed that several highly lucrative closed deals were originally credited to the junior staff. But the timestamps proved that those exact deals were manually reassigned to Daniel. And get this, the timestamps showed the edits happened just minutes before the polished report was emailed out to the team. This wasn't a glitch, it wasn't an accident. It was straight up theft. To completely solidify this finding, Noah from the IT department is brought into the meeting to clarify a vital technical distinction. See, the system didn't delete the original credit. Software rarely just deletes things permanently. It merely stopped showing it in the default view. When Leo asks, point blank, so it was hidden, Noah hesitates a bit. He's an IT guy, he doesn't want to get involved in office politics, so he mumbles that hidden isn't really the technical term. But Maya cuts right through the noise. It is the honest one, she says. And she's absolutely right. Truth in a corporate office often looks incredibly boring. It's just a hidden row in a spreadsheet, right? Until someone realizes exactly what that hidden row proves. Management tried to cover their tracks, but the digital footprints survived. Section 4, the pressure to close. The confrontation. So once the digital record points squarely at management, the atmosphere in the room completely and utterly shifts. You can practically feel the corporate panic setting in. The people in power realize they've been caught, and they try to slam the door shut before anyone else looks inside. Notice the specific corporate buzzwords they deploy here, because it's textbook gaslighting. The spin cycle goes into absolute overdrive. Claire, who earlier was so concerned about Leo, suddenly tries to reframe this deliberate manipulation as, quote, process confusion. Daniel desperately downplays his outright theft as a simple, quote, misunderstanding. And Ethan, playing the classic manager trying to avoid an audience, once again asked if they can just solve it offline. Look, offline is where toxic problems are created and buried, and Maya flat out refuses to go there. When Claire tries to police Maya's emotions, telling her that her tone isn't helping, Maya fires back with another brilliant line. The tone did not change the record. Management is trying so desperately to shift the focus from the hard facts to the soft feelings, but the spreadsheet is undeniable.
And this leads us to Maya's absolute turning point in the confrontation. She looks at the management team and says, this is not a misunderstanding, this is a sequence. First, the record changed, then the blame moved, then the explanation arrived ready-made. By laying it out this logically, step by step, Maya completely shatters the illusion of a simple mistake. She exposes the calculated anatomy of the lie for everyone to see. Management knew the answer before they even asked the question. They had a broken spreadsheet, so they instantly, reflexively prepared a narrative to blame the junior analyst. Why? To cover up Daniel stealing the deal credits. It's a masterclass in breaking down corporate gaslighting. She didn't let them hide behind their buzzwords.
But even with all that proof, sometimes internal politics can still bury the truth. What really tips the scales here, what finally breaks the dam, is external pressure. A regional sales lead, someone functioning essentially as a massive client or key stakeholder in this scenario, gets wind of the discrepancy and explicitly demands that Maya's version of the events be included in the official record for an upcoming audit. That single sentence from an external force does what a dozen internal HR complaints could never do. It makes the truth operationally necessary. The internal managers can no longer brush this under the rug, no matter how much they want to, because an external record is now tied directly to it. Their ability to dismiss the issue is just completely removed from their hands.
Section 5. When truth wins. The resolution. So what actually happens when a toxic shortcut is finally, forcefully closed off? Well, the aftermath is swift and highly procedural. Olivia, the HR representative who has been sitting there quietly taking notes this entire time, finally steps in with real authority. She officially freezes the report cycle. Ethan, totally defeated, is forced to lay down strict new mandates for the whole department. Document everything, preserve all source files, no more informal edits, period. And understand, these aren't just random bullet points on a slide, they are concrete institutional shifts. It's essentially a confession of guilt disguised as a new standard operating procedure. When Olivia announces that this entire situation will be escalated as an official matter against Daniel, the tension in the room finally, mercifully breaks. The junior analyst, Leo, who thought he was going to be fired that morning, can finally take a breath.
And that brings us to the core theme of our entire analysis today. Numbers do not gossip. They testify. In a workplace full of rumors, spin, alliances, and constant political maneuvering, hard, undeniable data is your ultimate shield. People can argue about tone all day long. They can debate intentions, and they can use endless corporate buzzwords to muddy the waters and confuse the issue. But a timestamp doesn't care about your job title. A hidden spreadsheet tab doesn't play office politics. When you anchor your arguments in objective reality, you strip toxic management of their absolute most powerful weapon, ambiguity. When they can't make things vague, they can't lie.
Now, toward the end, as Leo asks Maya if it always feels this good when the truth finally wins, Maya is very realistic. She's been around the block. She tells him it's not supposed to be comforting. It's supposed to be useful. Let's be clear, Maya didn't magically fix the entire toxic culture of Northbridge Strategy in one single afternoon. People like Daniel and Claire are still going to try and play games. But she established a crucial new baseline. She made the next lie significantly harder to hide. By protecting the records and forcing accountability this one time, she showed everyone that in an office built entirely on fear and shortcuts, forcing the truth into the light is the single most significant victory you can achieve. She built a guardrail where there used to be a cliff.
So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this provocative question to think about in your own career. If blame moves faster than truth in your office, what hidden records are you failing to check? What perfectly polished, clean reports are you just accepting at face value because it's easier than questioning them? The next time something feels off in your gut, the next time the numbers don't quite add up, remember Maya's rule. Ask yourself, what changed, who changed it, and who actually benefits? Dig just a little bit deeper, because sometimes the exact evidence you need to protect yourself is just waiting in a hidden tab, ready to testify. Thanks for joining me for today's breakdown. Keep questioning the clean surfaces, trust your instincts, and I'll see you next time.